Hey everyone, it's Ivan, KeepAtcher.com, out here for another gun review, and today I'm talking about this little gun right here, which is the Scar 20S in 6.5 Creedmoor. So a little bit of backstory to kind of bring us up to speed. I ended up getting this gun from my friends over at Shooting Surplus, and since then have put in a bunch of time with it, done a couple kind of update videos as far as along the way, things I've done, things that I've basically changed, how it's done for me to include issues I've had. And yeah, going back to, I think, that very first video I put out, I seen the scars like through the GWAT, everything like that. A lot of people have a lot of really strong opinions about this gun, and not a lot of people have actually put in time with it. And so yeah, kind of reserving judgment for actual experience versus regurgitating someone's opinion. So that said, now put in quite a bit of time with this gun and kind of came to my own conclusions. Before I speak to my experience and overall thoughts on this, I'll go over some of the things I have done to this gun. One, I hate shooting unsuppressed if I can otherwise shoot suppressed. So one of the first things I did was got rid of, this originally comes with a Surefire 7.62, one of their Pro Comps, muzzle brake, that does not attach to one of their Surefire cans. And brakes can be nice to shoot, especially if you don't want to have any friends, but I would much rather shoot suppressed. So I ended up actually taking that off, put the cherry bomb on there, and rock set that so that I can shoot suppressed. This right here is the Jumbo Shrimp silencer by Q, 6.5 titanium can, really light, doesn't add a bunch of weight or a bunch of length. Then moving back, something I will say that, like, what the hell, FN? Like, no one is like, man, you know what I really need in my life? More Picatinny rail. Like, I want to destroy everything and just have that rail grind against stuff. No. So for whatever reason, I get it. It probably made sense when this first came out. Fast forward in the 2020s, but this thing still comes with basically quad rail, pick rail. One of the best upgrades I've found for this has been Parker Mountain Machine, which makes M-LOK rails, both the bottom as well as the sides. And that allows you to not only mount things in the 21st century with M-LOK, but also gets rid of all the pick rails so you don't just destroy other gear and things with pick rail grinding on everything, to include your hands. And yeah, right here I've mounted the Magpul Bipod. Back here is a ARCA adapter by, it'll come to me in a minute, Sawtooth rifles. And yeah, then I guess over here, continue with this gun setup. Have a U-loop by Blue Force Gear. Actually works out well because FN's like, we get it. Everyone else uses QD sling swivels, but we'll just put these here instead. And then this sling, it is the lead Sling-Er by Tactical Distributors. Moving back, worn mount. And this is the Primary Arms ACSS Apollo SLx 3-18, I guess it is, first focal plane. And then one of the, right here, pop that thing off, the 100 Concepts scope cap, and a regular one back here with, this is actually pretty handy. It's a dope chart, goes inside your scope cap. They make a couple different ones from Sobcheck Security Incorporated, I believe. And oh yeah, also important, shooting suppressed. Inside here is a Scarburator. This I think is the Gen 3, and it is a adjustable gas block. Yes, these originally come with one, but it's 2 positions, suppressed, unsuppressed. More on that in a minute. This one has, I think, like 13 settings, so you can actually tune it. So pretty sweet. On the subject of shooting suppress, as well as adjustable gas blocks and information getting passed down from the internet, second, third, fourth hand, whatever it may be, FN at this point has a, if nothing else, a reputation of saying, hey, screw you customers, we're not going to warranty your gun that apparently beat itself to death shooting suppressed because you weren't supposed to put a can on it. That's the perception. I don't know the reality of it. The reality of, I do know from a friend of mine, like personal friend, who actually had his gun like beat to death, shooting suppressed, like ended up wrecking the barrel and stuff, some wild stuff. He was like, definitely get adjustable gas block, like the gun will kill itself. And he also told me he was fortunate enough to actually get it warrantied. I want to say he may or may not have been completely truthful with respect to shooting that gun suppressed when he talked to FN about that warranty, but that's the information I went on. A buddy of mine, firsthand knowledge. So moving into it, I ended up with this adjustable gas block, which gives you the ability to basically tune your gun. I will say I ended up tuning it too light, too soft, to the end of detracting from reliability. Again, being afraid of this gun trying to kill itself, shooting suppressed, from everything I had heard. With that, I ended up actually running into malfunctions, to include when I was shooting this gun in high desert brutality. And yeah, it was really frustrating. I ended up with this weird, really weird, basically this weird malfunction where charge the gun, fire that first round, and it would not strip that top round. I think what it might have been, and it happened fairly consistently. I think what it may have been, coming full circle now, is the gas was adjusted to like the bleeding edge. And so there was so much spring tension that, I don't know, it slowed the bolt, or the bolt was slowed because of less gas. That mixed with spring tension on the follower, pushing that top round up, it would retard the movement enough to where it would not move far enough back to strip that first round. You'd have to charge it manually, then shoot through the rest of the magazine. I think that's probably what happened. Moving forward, I was like, well, let's try more gas, hoping I'm not gonna beat this gun to death. And since then, I have adjusted the gas, and with that, haven't ran into that issue or pretty much any other issues. And as a quick aside, people are like, oh yeah, piston guns, they shoot so much cleaner. Not really, as evidenced by like the top round in the magazine, but putting in a lot of time with this gun. As I've just mentioned, I've shot this gun a lot, and honestly, it's been a lot of fun. I told you about those issues, which I think were largely self-induced while shooting this down at the high desert brutality. Fun competition. This thing did good for me when it was functioning. Again, ran into some issues, probably self-induced with the gas system. Since then, it pretty much has been running without any hiccups. After I had adjusted the gas, basically gave it a little bit more. And other places I've used this, I actually took this down, used it for part of the high angle rifle training down at Thunder Ranch, and did admirably there, and was a ton of fun to shoot.
5, 4, 1, from the bolt, new target.
The angle of my scope. Like it's down in between these trees.
Impact.
I'm going right a little bit.
Yeah. Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice work.
All Slavic of some
Top over, bottom. There it is. Again.
Now we'll go up.
Other places I use this, I actually took this down to go hunting with my boys this year, down with Joker's Wild Outdoors, amazing property down kind of southeast Idaho, and it did great. Again, thanks to this ARCA adapter on here by Sawtooth Rifles, thanks to M-LOK, no thanks to Picatinny Rail FN. I basically had this guy mounted on a tripod, and my son was able to be confident and take a good shot at 300 yards, drop a beautiful buck. Really cool experience, so glad I could share it with them. And while I was down there with this gun, hoping to basically fill my tag, get a nice buck, was not in the cards, but ended up actually taking this thing out there and brought down a coyote at, I think, 350, 400 yards. And of course, I've shot this at a number of other range days, just with different friends out enjoying ourselves, getting to put in time behind guns. To include out at Rock Lake Rifle Range, amazing facility, goes out to like a mile, and tons of steel everywhere. Lots of fun to shoot out there.
Hit left corner, top left corner. Hit head. Hit left corner, top left corner. Hit head.
With all of that said, how is this done for me? Well, it's done pretty good. I will say it's a heavy gun. Dimensionally, without a can or anything, it's around 41 to like 43 inches long basically. In slick, it weighs 11.6 pounds. Not super light. Cold hammer forged, chrome lined barrel, 20-inch barrel on these guys. Also available in 308. Not a fan of that caliber. I think 6.5 Creedmoor provides more. And yeah, I think overall this gun has, like I said, it's done a really good job. I ran into those issues, self-induced I think, tinkering with the gas system, which can happen. I don't know if I would have not had those issues or had this thing beat itself to death if I just used the suppressed, unsuppressed setting. I don't know. It seems really weird to me, as an aside, that FN at this point has such a reputation for not warrantying things as far as customers' guns that have been damaged because they're running suppressed, because part of the contract was like, hey, this thing's gonna run suppressed. And so again, I don't know how much of that is real versus how much is like some people being loud on the internet, but it's enough to where myself, who doesn't really follow much of anything online, am aware of it. Like I said, my closest experience with that is a good friend who did have a gun try and kill itself, running suppressed, and he fortunately was able to get it warranted by FN. So awesome. Going back to personal experience, honestly, it's a fun gun. Like, I really enjoy shooting this gun. Part of it is the way it is now, and the way it was, honestly, is it's soft shooting. Like, it's nice. This gun right here is the non-reciprocating charging handle version, whereas of course the original FN, or the original Scars, both 16 and 17, have a reciprocating charging handle, which a lot of people really did not like, and I get it. Like, why do that if you don't have to do that? So finally there was enough like feedback and they're like, cool, non-reciprocating charging handle. So this thing, yeah, just shooting it across the board, I really enjoy shooting it, and it is fun to shoot. There are things that I do not like about it though. This right here, if you're unaware, is basically a precision version of the Scar 17 with that longer barrel, longer rail, and you have the stock, which is like precision rifle stock. So on it, there's buttons on the left side as the shooter, and you can depress them and you can raise or lower cheek piece. Same with, you can press this and move your, like the pull in. You can also just pull this and it'll come out and then it'll lock. It works. I will say you pay for it in weight, like not a lightweight stock. Something that honestly detracts from the stock for me, in my experience. Maybe there's a way to fix it, I don't know. I spent some time trying to fix it. Nope. But this right here. So this butt pad, why does it do that on a $5,000 gun? Riddle me that, FN. And I don't know why it's not just like on there. And maybe I'm totally missing something, but I don't know. Because of that, when you shoulder this, it's like this weird, awkward second until you basically get rid of that in building a solid shooting position. Sample size of 1. Something else, and part of it's like, Ivan, why don't you just always clean and maintain your guns? Well, I'm probably too busy shooting them. But these screws right here that actually hold this cheek piece on, totally rusty. You're like, well, you should have properly PM'd them after you went and shot in the rain or the snow. Yeah, or not. Like, it's a battle rifle. Like, I get it. I understand PMing guns. Spend a bunch of time in the military cleaning them. But also, it's just like, how do we not have stainless steel hardware that's actually coated so we don't have to waste time scrubbing little screws that are holding on to cheek piece on a gun? Just an idea. Something else I will say I'm honestly not a fan of is, one, ambi controls. And somewhere, for some reason, there was probably a solicitation like, hey, we need everything ambi. I don't know. Basically doubles your chances to self-induce malfunctions, to include like dropping your mag. One thing they actually did good is they actually basically put a fence on both sides of the ambi mag release. So when you go to hit the bolt release, which seems incredibly small on this relatively large gun, you hopefully won't inadvertently hit that. Same with, as a right-handed shooter, if you're carrying this, less likely than some other ambi controls to like rest on that mag release and depress it. So bring that gun to bear, get that one shot. Hopefully it's all you needed, because your mag drops on the ground after that. Yeah, not a fan of ambi stuff. Saying that, after having spent a year shooting left-handed, like, yeah, just run those controls. Same with the charging handle, which makes sense because you are changing your, basically your manual alarm sum, in that you charge it up here, run that, and that, there's a smaller one on the right side. You can actually reverse those either direction depending on what you want. But back to things, again, don't care for, is, sorry, got on my tangent on ambidextrous stuff. Low receiver. One, kind of cool, it's not serialized, that's nice, so that you can basically upgrade it and replace it. The way it is now, it's polymer and it works. It also works with only its stuff. So the trigger that actually comes in like the Scar 17, kind of garbage, like it's a mil-spec trigger. And fortunately, the Aftermarket provided for FN, and Geisley made a trigger for the Scar. You're like, why'd they make a trigger for the Scar? Because of course, FN used different internal geometry than an AR, so that you couldn't just use like a regular air trigger. Same goes with magazines. More than likely it came down to, hey guys, here we are with all of these machines to basically stamp out and make our FAL magazines legacy. And so let's just make a gun that takes those rather than like AR-10 pattern mags. And like, okay, cool, I guess. Except now it takes those magazines, which one, super expensive and not that great. I say not that great. Like P-mags, kind of a known quantity. Same with like Knights mags. These, And on top of that, you have a 10 round and a 20 round mag versus like, I want a D50 in this thing. The other thing with it is, I don't even know where it is. Like, I'm pretty sure I just misplaced it because I'm like, this thing's dumb. But the 10 round magazine it comes with, for whatever reason, I would continually run into feeding issues with that first round. That being, and I have some video of it, I'm pretty sure, but you'd insert the magazine, and when the magazine would click into place, it would kick that first round up probably has something to do with the geometry of basically the follower combined with 6.5 Creedmoor, and they're like, yeah, it'll probably work, and I don't know. Sample size of 1, but I ran into nothing but issues with that tin rounder. So like I said, I don't even know where it is anymore. I just stopped using it. But going back to this amazing low receiver. So yeah, proprietary mags shouldn't be. Expensive mags shouldn't be. Ambi stuff that I don't want on it. A trigger by Geisley, which is actually really good, thanks to the Aftermarket, FN. And we also have a grip. Yeah, proprietary too. Like, you can't just put like a regular AR grip on here. Awesome. But Aftermarket provides, right? So you can actually get a number of different companies make them. Basically, Aftermarket low receiver that will take like standard AR-10 mags to include like a D50 and all the other mags. Not to mention regular standard AR lower parts kit, AR triggers, AR grips, all of those things. So the Aftermarket does provide. Of course, what everyone really wants to know though is this gun a laser beam? Well, I actually took it out in this, in this configuration, and well, actually kind of funny story about that. So I originally I forget where I was, but I took this thing out and I'm like, I'm gonna go shoot groups, so I'm done with it. And I did. I'm pretty sure I had it the same setup right here, shooting off of this tripod with like a rear bag. I had the tripod splayed out, and I might have shot off the bipod. I don't remember. In the video I'll be like, oh, I guess that's what I did. But I did not shoot with the can. And yeah, I went through and I shot a number of 5-shot groups at 100 yards and really, really mediocre results with all the different various ammos that I shot. Like garbage results. And I'm like, man, I really feel like this gun does better than this. And I'm not one to go just like cherry pick groups, because I go shoot a gun and one, I value my time as well as my money, i.e. ammo. So if I go out there, whatever I get that day is largely what I get. And I was like, well, that's super disappointing. But again, I was like, man, I really feel like this thing is capable of more than that. And I feel like I've got more than that, what I got in those groups, like out of this gun before. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna throw the can on here. And granted, I took the can off, not because I enjoy shooting unsuppressed. I took the can off because I hate having to try and wait and deal with mirage and all of those other things. I just want to go shoot and be done. But threw the can on there and saw those groups shrink up some with the S&B, that soft point that I had, because that's what I had like more ammo of to shoot that day. So seeing that, I was like, damn, okay. And keep in mind, guns can absolutely shoot better suppressed. I've also put suppressors on guns and have them like shoot worse, but largely you can. And it actually reminds me of a conversation I had with Ethan, one of the engineers over at Q, basically talking about in silencer design, like it's this balancing act of, hey, I want to disrupt, i.e. slow the gases. And so in doing so, you can basically induce turbulence, at which point concentricity, like dispersion, like your group will get bigger because you will have disrupted those gases while it's being pushed through that silencer, versus peeling off gases to slow that expansion, but not disrupting the bullet, and you can squeeze more accuracy out. So I'm like, well, this definitely seemed to shoot better with a can on. And then on top of that, honestly, I probably shoot better with a can on. One, the recoil impulse changes. It's smoother, in my experience. Turns into like this gentle push. And yeah, you also don't have this super loud, violent explosion going off a couple feet from your face. Way nicer. So I was like, okay, I feel like this gun's more capable, and that probably wasn't a fair shake. So I'm gonna go back out and reaccomplish this. So I had this gun set up in this configuration right here, using this 3 to 18, had it maxed out on 18, and shooting off of this tripod. And then I think I had a Coltac rear bag in the back, and I shot a number of 5-shot groups at 100 yards. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. Here's what I got. Starting off with the S&B 140 grain soft point. First group coming in at 0.91 MOA. And my second group with soft point coming in at 0.69 MOA. Switching to some Hornady 140 grain ELD match. My first group coming in at 0.491 MOA. And my second group opening up a little to 0.945 MOA. Then moving to some 140 grain gold medal match by Federal. First group coming in at 1.88 MOA. And my second group with that gold medal match coming in at 1.42 MOA. Then back to some S&B, this 140 grain full metal jacket boat tail. First group coming in at 0.99 MOA. Maybe that was a flyer. Without that, would have came down to 0.32 MOA. And my next group coming in at 1.26 MOA. Again, maybe a flyer. These are my last couple groups. Without that outlier, groups drop down to 0.59 MOA. In my last group, shooting some Norma match, 130 grain hollow point boat tail, coming in at 0.95 MOA. Was that a flyer? Very possible, in which case drop down to 0.45 MOA. Also, with respect to that Norma, I only had 5 rounds for whatever reason in a random box of that, so I did not shoot a second 5-shot group with that Norma. What are my thoughts on the accuracy of this gun in those groups and my accuracy shooting those groups? Man, genuinely impressed. One, I will say it took me a while. I would basically shoot 5 rounds. I would shoot another 5-round group. I'd pull that can off, and I would set it in the snow, pack snow around it, and I'd go confirm zero or work on zeroing another rifle, come back, shoot another 10 rounds, rinse, repeat until I made it through all those different groups. And that got rid of me having to deal with Mirage. Granted, it just took a while. I genuinely super impressed with this gun. Now granted, most guns outshoot the shooter, if we're being real, which most people aren't. I also, I think, just kept it together. So like those last 3 groups, was that me throwing a flyer? Probably. Or was it the gun? Maybe. I mean, even with those like flyers, still under 1 minute, like I'll take that all day long. Because are you a 1 MOA shooter all day long? Probably not. I'm definitely not like all day, every day, a 1 MOA shooter. Like I'm not. And so, in fairness, to me, that was definitely like me doing my best to get those groups, but that was also 100% like this gun performed really well. And I'm sure, honestly, a better shooter than myself could probably get better groups out of this gun. What did strike me though is how poorly it and I performed unsuppressed. Again, was it me as a shooter? May very well have been. Like, it usually is. Like, I am usually the weak link in that like chain there. Or does this honestly just perform better with this can on it? Like, that may very well be the case too. But in this configuration right here, like, yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Closing thoughts and where will I go from here? Well, again, I really enjoyed shooting this gun. It's been a ton of fun. Not the lightest gun by any stretch. I am grateful, honestly, that FN finally made one in 6.5 Creedmoor. Personally, I think it's a better round. Great external ballistics, great terminal ballistics. Again, you can definitely kill stuff with it. Soft point will kill things. And as far as ammo goes, it's like, oh man, but 308, you can get surplus ball. Yeah, like if you want to shoot 5 MOA groups, that's really cool. But dollar for dollar, like same dollar amount for the ammo, you'll pretty much always end up with better, more accurate ammo in 6.5 Creedmoor with, yeah, arguably better ballistics and less recoil. So it's a win in my book. So all that to say, I enjoy this in 6.5 Creedmoor. Things I would change. I kind of already went over them. I will probably at this point turn this gun into the battle rifle I wanted the Scar 17 to be, i.e. I will remove this lower receiver, get some sort of aftermarket lower receiver, which takes standard AR-10 like P-Mags, a D50, all of those things. I may very well end up cutting down this barrel. You're like, oh, but it's so accurate right now. Yeah, it is. Hopefully it'll stay accurate. We'll see. I would like this to be shorter, but still have the full rail length. Again, places I think they kind of missed the mark on the Scar 17. Granted, I get it. They're trying to make it super light. Part of that was basically cutting the rail right there. But yeah, I like having more rail on here. I would like to have the barrel shorter. Probably end up getting rid of the stock, get something lighter and folding for the sake of transport, and yeah, kind of turn it into a fun little 6.5 battle rifle project. Or not, I don't know, we'll see. But definitely grateful for Shooting Surplus sending this thing out. And yeah, not a cheap gun. It's like $5 grand. And if you want to save like $500, then you can get them around $4,500 through Shooting Surplus. Is it worth it? Someone's gonna hop in the comments and be like, I got a Anderson Arms AR-10 lower. I don't even know if they make them. And basically they have a $600 gun that outshoots this. Cool, man. Like, I'm stoked for you. That's great. Is it a Scar 20? No, it's not. And does it matter to you? It may not. I think this is cool on a number of levels. One, again, with the tuned gas system, I actually really like this piston. Do I think it's like the coolest thing ever and it is way cleaner than shooting a direct impingement? No, not really. But I mean, as evidenced by my groups, like this thing shoots, like it absolutely works. And part of it is honestly just kind of a nostalgia thing. Like the Scar 17s rolling the GWAT. I think it's come a long way from the original one to include like non-reciprocating charging handle. There's still so many silly things that FN did, like proprietary lower parts to include magazines, all that stuff, which I get it. They're like, how can we make the most money and make people come to us for parts? Cool, I guess. But yeah, despite all of those things, I actually do really enjoy this gun and it is a ton of fun to shoot. There'll be links down below if you want to check this stuff out, to include basically the whole kind of build out of this gun right here. But yeah, I've had a ton of fun with it. And last but not least, if you appreciate my content and want to support it, greatly appreciate it. One of the ways is supporting me directly through Patreon. Helps me go out and create more content for you and gives you early access to videos as well as access to our Discord server. So if you have questions for me, probably won't answer them in the comments, but for as little as $1 a month, you can hop over there and get that burning question answered. But as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.
She dances on my table. She dances on my